an unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encounter Cast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncounterCast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What's up? Welcome to Final Encounter Cast. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio, starting at 1 p.m. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in live. All, what do we got? 75, 80 people? Yeah, 82. All 82 of you that are joining us live right here at the top. FinalEncounterCast.com to subscribe to the podcast. If you have missed any shows, you can find them there at FinalEncounterCast.com. Couple of things I want to talk about right here at the start of the show before we get into the news. The first thing is that we're coming up on Easter weekend. That is next weekend. A lot of you, I'm sure, will be busy visiting with family, and we are actually going to do the same thing.
It's going to be an exciting time.
But
no,
he has to come to work.
Yeah, well,
he doesn't get a day off.
Actually, I'm going to be coming to work because here's the thing: I'm going to be hanging out with you guys starting at 1 p.m. and we're going to do a marathon of Checkpoint Radio episodes. So if you haven't been able to listen to any of the live broadcasts in Denver, Vancouver, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Phoenix, or Pittsburgh, then you can listen on Sunday and you can get all caught up with Checkpoint Radio. We're going to do that starting at 1 p.m. here on twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio.
Got to stay up on that, Limit Break Radio expanded universe continuity.
That's right. I mean, it is starting to get really complicated, isn't it?
This is an exceptional time we live in.
We're going to be hearing this all day, aren't we?
Would you expect anything different?
Really? Just egg punt.
It becomes less impressive when you know that he spent all last night looking up words that could be like in the dictionary that he can make the egg pun with.
I mean, I get it.
Okay, but to be fair, after like 2 or 3 minutes of like looking at those EX words, they don't look like words anymore, and just
eggs everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. We are going to be taking next week off, but do please still join us at 1 p.m. So that you can check out some episodes of Checkpoint Radio, which we've decided also that, for those that are going to be sticking around live through Limit Break Radio, that after we wrap up Limit Break Radio, we are going to play the most recent episode of Checkpoint Radio, episode number 10, that was live in various cities and then is going to be live again on Phoenix tonight. But if you want to just stick around and listen through the Twitch stream, we're going to be playing that for you. So we hope that you stick around and also that you check out Checkpoint Radio. You can find the website over at checkpointradio.com. We've got the listen page that is continuing to build over there. There's more and more content. We've got the Checkpoint Radio podcast. You can find the feed over at the listen page, and we're trying to build the site really rapidly. So if you guys could help us out by checking out the website and by following us at CheckPT Radio on Facebook and Twitter, and hopefully, I've seen a couple of people do this, and I'm very grateful to them on Twitter that they have been, tweeting their local sports talk radio stations or talk radio stations and letting them know that they want to hear Checkpoint Radio in their city. And that's awesome. I think that that's incredible. Mm-hmm. And Checkpoint is kind of, like on the cusp of putting out a fairly big announcement that will hopefully make a lot of people happy. It will hopefully expand our radius quite a bit. But that grassroots kind of growth happens with you guys, and it happens with you getting involved with your local radio stations and saying, hey, we want to hear these guys on our radio station. And, I think that we bring something pretty unique to the table, to the world of video game journalism. And one of these big refrains that we heard a couple of years ago was ethics in games journalism. We want ethics in games journalism, and people were really uncomfortable with how embedded traditional game journalism sources like IGN, like GameSpot, like all of these Kotaku, all of these different kind of review hubs and content generation sources, they were very disquieted with their relationship with certain developers. And the thing is that, I mean, you guys know us. You have watched us grow since whenever you joined the show. And the thing is that we've relied more on your support to continue to grow and expand, and less on the support of any one developer or any company. We've had a couple of great sponsorships from Alamo City Comic-Con and Diamond Multimedia along the way, and we're very thankful to them for what they've been able to bring to the table and be able to provide for us. But it's mostly been you guys. It's mostly been our listeners. It's mostly been our audience that's supporting us over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. By the way, I do want to point out that our total over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio is fairly low. It's around the 1,700 mark. Now, I'm sure that some of you on the last episode heard me say that we are working on building funding around Checkpoint, which is exactly what we're doing. We are looking for advertisers to start advertising around Checkpoint because we think that this is, good real estate for advertisers. It's certainly better real estate than YouTube, which could put your ad next to a Nazi video or an extremist beheading video. So I think that we've got an opportunity to reach out to some advertisers and to get some products in line with the show that we think really represent us. And again, if
can we please time out Anti Roystrom? He is being a bad/boring troll.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty valid reason to time somebody out, or to...
We would never time out a good troll.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that if they were being entertaining or making a good point or trying to undermine us in some way, I mean, it's not doing any of those. It's just being distracting and dumb. So
it's not fun in any way.
Also, I have to apologize for there being a lack of an echo because I wasn't doing my job. Hashtag
do
your job.
No.
So we just made
your job.
We just made more work for
your job.
Nate.
Seriously.
Do your job.
Okay, I'm gonna do my job. Hold on.
God damn.
Do your job.
Seriously.
Do your job.
Okay.
Did you say do your job?
God damn. Well, at least we got through it way faster.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to address just a few quick things that I've seen popping up in the chat here. First of all, Kookie's back, everybody.
Yay!
The firewall has returned.
Do your job.
She's back, and she said she's seen everything that's been going on, even in her absence. She is like the all-seeing eye of Sauron.
Wait, like even when we're alone?
Probably. I would not put it past her. Also, people are like, no Nike again?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
She's not feeling well today.
She's actually, she's sick.
Quote from Nika, I feel like I have a ball in my throat.
Well,
just one.
Maybe Senpai should do something about that.
Yeah, you can at least pull out before the show.
Or put the other one in.
Wow. Callie went there. Okay. So she's resting. She's resting her voice. So
she's resting the ball in her throat. Anyway,
not pregnant this time, just ball in her throat.
Anyway, if you want to support the show, which by the way, until we get advertisers signed on, this is still the way that we support the show and the way that we pay everyone.
Except Skuro.
Yeah. we would never pay Skuro. But seriously, if you're feeling generous, or if you've listened to the show for a long time and you enjoy the stuff that we make, head on over to patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. A couple of things that have fallen off recently have been the green room videos. That ends today.
We fixed it.
It's
already recorded.
Yeah, we're recording them before the shows. Is that
Yes,
how we're
before
doing it
the shows.
now? Okay.
Called it.
So that's going to be that's definitely going to make its return here this week, as well as we've tasked somebody in the crew with putting stuff to Patreon and managing the Patreon, administrating the content that goes up on the Patreon page, and that is Fat. Fat is going to be responsible for that now. So
Not anymore. That was contingent on you not calling me fat anymore. I added that clause in my head.
Which was secret, apparently.
Yeah,
I
it
did not
was the
recall that
secret
being
clause.
mentioned.
yeah, that's definitely not.
All right, you guys handle the Patreon then.
Anyway,
I'm changing the deal. Pray I don't alter it further.
Anyway, Fat's going to be responsible for putting up content. We'll make sure that Checkpoint Radio content makes its way up there for you guys,
Including cutting room floor stuff that will never be seen otherwise.
Yeah,
right?
we've definitely got some exclusives that we can put up.
Do you remember the conversation that we had at Checkpoint about porn? Was that recorded?
It might have been.
Oh, that'd be a great one.
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I think that was on recording.
Yeah, I would assume. Well, it was in between. It was during an interview segment. So if the recorder's still going, then it should be there somewhere.
Were we in the room in front
Oh,
of the
yeah.
microphones?
Yeah,
Are you
we
sure?
were.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
then it should be there.
Cool. We talk about our porn habits, guys. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you are already a Patreon subscriber, then be sure to look over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio for your exclusive content.
Ball and thought equals Adam's apple. Ball and thought equals Adam's apple. Man confirm equals Nico.
Oh man,
There's that echo.
Yeah, that
Wow,
echo.
even I'm hearing the echo now.
that echo.
That was amazing.
That one was really bad today. Hopefully that'll get a little bit more in sync as we move forward.
Also on the topic of Patreon, this month our final card from the first edition of the LBR postcards goes out, and the next set starts next month with a whole new artist. We're going to get out a tease for that so you can see the new kind of style that the new artist has.
The old artist didn't even finish the entire run.
No, she had some life problems, and she's like, I'm going to go do it. So
Do your job! Do your job!
Man.
Do your job!
Keep talking.
Do your job!
It's going to last a
Do
while.
your job!
It's not. It's not. It's the extra long one.
Yeah. You get
Do your job!
Okay.
okay,
We get it.
It's almost done. Oh, it's
all
done.
right.
Damn.
So our good friend Apple Nectar finished out the last set in her own sort of chibi style, which it's in Nero cards. What kind of sets it apart? Did you like it?
I did actually.
Yeah,
I was quite happy with it. But I'm
How
just
is that fair? He gets to have a cool art, and we get chibi.
I'll tell you what. On the next edition, Apple Nectar will do everything, and then you can do the Skuro card.
And that's not.
in like your style.
It's not going to be good.
Like
You're going to regret that. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that on Limit Break Radio. But we got to check out what's going on in the news. Oh no. Where did my production go?
Panic.
They're here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
Well, last summer, Blizzard filed a lawsuit with German cheat maker Bossland over bots they've created for Overwatch. Bossland was officially found guilty of 42,818 counts of copyright infringement and was ordered to pay $8.6 million to Blizzard in addition to $177,000 in court costs.
That's a lot of counts of copyright infringement.
So I really want to be excited about this because I think it sets a great precedent for companies being able to go after cheat makers. But how actionable is that? It's one thing for the courts to say, all right, you're guilty, you have to pay, but there's not an international court police that enforces this
I
stuff.
doubt Overwatch or Blizzard will ever see a dime of that money,
Which-
but the cheat maker has since been offline.
They
so
have.
That's the win.
Honestly, right, exactly. I don't think Blizzard really cares if they get that money or not, so long as it takes out the cheat maker.
I had actually heard that Bossland had paid the money already.
Oh, have they really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's the kind of money that these kinds of companies are able to pull in. I mean, if you needed to know why this was, this needed to be handled through the courts, I think that's a very valid reason why. I mean, that's a lot of money, and if they already forked it over, I mean, it doesn't matter if their business is closed. They made their,
they get to go sit on their pile of money now.
Yeah, they made their dime and dashed away. Like, that's crazy.
A blind Street Fighter V player took a few sets from his opponent in the early stages of Spain's Sonic Boom tournament. The Dutch player by the name of Sven lost his eyesight when he was 5 and has been learning to play video games by sound alone ever since. Street Fighter V's particularly deep sound effects made it an ideal choice, and after less than a year of practicing, Sven looks ready to compete.
This is pretty cool. This is awesome.
Not for the other guy.
Yeah, of course. That's where your mind would go in this story. Is the poor guy who lost to the blind dude.
Well, think about it. Well, think about the predicament he was in. Okay, so you're going up in a tournament against a blind guy.
Yeah.
Imagine being in that position. Like, first of all,
you have to so do you play nicer with the blind guy?
No.
You
play
Okay,
to
so
win.
so now you're a dick because you're playing against a blind guy who's blind,
Chris,
playing a video
It
game
doesn't
because
matter.
he's blind.
The blind guy entered the tournament knowing. So if you beat him, it's like, good job. You're blind, so I hope you weren't expecting
Chris,
much.
Now you're the guy that just beat up the blind
You know
guy.
what? I bet you watched Karate Kid and you thought the other dude was the good guy.
Sweep the leg.
God, you're
No,
terrible.
Chris, you play as hard as you can, and if you lose, you steal his walking stick and leave.
Yeah, exactly. And you taunt him.
Then you're still a bad guy.
And you
Well, sometimes you have to play the villain. We can't all be the heroes. You're up against the blind guy. You're not going to be the hero.
yeah,
You might as well cash in and play the villain.
like you beat the shit out of him virtually in the game. You don't actually beat the shit out of him.
Well,
That
if
would
he
be
beats the
fucked
shit
up.
out of you, then maybe you do beat the shit out of him in real life.
It depends. But then you get up real close into his face, sort of like the Smash guy did.
But he wouldn't know that, though.
And you go,
He's blind.
did you see that? Fucking
See what I did there?
Never saw it coming.
right.
He'll be missed.
E-League has been nominated for an Emmy in the category of Outstanding Studio Design / Art Design. They'll be going up against NBC's Summer Olympic Games coverage, Fox NFL Sunday, Mike and Mike, and the UEFA Euro Cup. This is so cool.
That's an impressive lineup, too.
This is crazy. I mean, the fact that esports is kind of being validated on that level to be competing with those kinds of sports presentations. I mean, I think that really reinforces everything that we're doing with Checkpoint.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And tells me that, like, yeah, we've lined ourselves up to be in a really competitive spot.
Yeah. And I'm actually going to call out our news dude here because behind the scenes, he's like, I don't think they're going to win. No faith.
I don't think they're going
Where's
to
your
win,
faith?
but I mean,
Why nominate someone who if there's no chance of them winning?
all right,
then?
look at it this way. I also don't think Mike and Mike has a shot in hell of winning this. Like, it's going to go to the Olympic Games coverage because
But I love their candy.
That's
Mike and
that's
Ike,
Mike
you
and
idiot.
Ike.
Oh, there's a
Here's
difference?
why I think they have a chance, all right? Because broadcasting esports compared to any other type of sport that's been around for years and years and years, you have new stuff now, right? It's bringing something fresh to the scene, and they're probably developing new ways and techniques of being able to do this. So that's why I think that they have a shot, kind of like a new artist sort of strength.
I can see that. I think in a year where there wasn't like the Summer Olympics, I'd agree there's probably a shot. I think they could beat out Fox NFL Sunday, but I don't think they're going to beat out the Olympic Games coverage.
I mean, what's the criteria though? Like, that's my question. Is like, what is the criteria that they're being judged 1-to-1 on? Is it strictly production value? Because if that's the case, you're absolutely right that the Olympic Games would end up crushing everything because it's so big and so complicated. But if it's a different set of, I just simply
studio
don't
design
know.
and art design. So yeah, maybe in that specific category, they could
I think
win.
it also comes down to how they vote. If it's like the Oscars, it's just a popularity contest anyway.
Yeah.
Following Hey Arnold and Rocko's Modern Life, Invader Zim will be the third Nick classic to get a TV movie. The main 4 original voices will all return for the 90-minute film based on the TV series, which, while only surviving 2 seasons, has since spawned a comic book and seen good viewership in its afterlife.
So, can I just say a couple of things on this? I know a lot of people are going like, well, we keep hearing about this, but nothing has materialized. When I spoke with Tom Kenny down at the convention down in San Antonio, Alamo City Comic-Con, he had confirmed that they had just wrapped the session for Rocko's Modern Life. Like, they had actually just recorded it.
Right.
And so that is in post. I know that that's in post-production.
None of the 3 Nick classic movies are actually released yet. I think the first one is supposed to be Hey Arnold, and that's this summer, I think, that comes out.
And then the other thing is that Ren and Stimpy has definitively been passed on for that.
Womp, womp.
I'll go ahead and say
Obviously, if they went with Hey Arnold instead of Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy was awful. I hated that show.
Well, and they said that the entirety of the reason why was Ren and Stimpy's adult party cartoon or whatever the Spike version of the show was. Since that was around, like, they felt that it had damaged the brand so severely that they couldn't even bring it back as for like a nostalgia factor.
You know, as a child, I hated everything Nickelodeon.
Really?
I did. I
didn't
hated
hate everything
Nickelodeon
Nick.
so
You didn't
much.
have it as a child.
No, I had Nickelodeon. I was a Cartoon Network kid, though.
Well, so was I, but Nickelodeon was before Cartoon Network, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? For a good long
I never
while.
liked
Yeah, there was-
Nickelodeon. Rugrats specifically, I hated that
I hated
show.
that show too.
Well, because-
I agree with that. I hated that show.
The thing is when did what was the first run of cartoons? Like, what was the year that the first run of cartoons came out?
I was probably like 6 at the time, so like 95, 96.
Because the thing is that Nicktoons was pretty established by the time the first run of cartoons was coming out, because Cartoon Network previous to that was a clearinghouse for old Hanna-Barbera.
That's right. Yeah, because I remember Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Johnny Quest.
But the
Yogi Bear.
very first piece of original content that Cartoon Network ever ended up producing through Turner was Space Ghost Coast to Coast,
Which I watched as well.
That predated all of the cartoons. So, you know, like, I mean, it's kind of crazy that, like, what ended up becoming Adult Swim actually had a presence way before.
Yeah, I think what it was
any of the
about
cartoons.
Nickelodeon, and again, it starts with the Rugrats, is that kind of dirty, grungy-ish sort of animation style or aesthetic. I just never liked that. I was those babies are ugly as shit.
Dude, that was something that Phil Moore, when we had talked to him for Checkpoint, he had pointed that out as well. That was sort of the cool thing about Nickelodeon at the time, is that they didn't like do all of that safe corporate stuff. Well, you know, we want to make dolls of this and we want to make sure that they're cute, so that, you know, like, they were like, oh, you want to make your characters fucking hideous, then make them hideous.
Yeah.
And that like spirit of open creativity, I think, is really cool, and actually led to a lot more long-lasting franchises from Nickelodeon. And I mean, Cartoon Network had no share of that, or no shortage of that as well. Ed, Edd and Eddy was for a long time was a show that was really hard to look at, but I mean, was ultimately my favorite show ever on Cartoon Network, still to this day.
That was such a great show. But I like Nickelodeon was great for the live action stuff. That's why people, I think, loved Nick at the time.
Hey, dude.
Real? Like, Hey Dude and Clarissa Explains It All?
No, Clarissa.
No, how about All That?
She was my waifu.
All That was great.
Salute Your Shorts. I like that
Salute Your
one.
Shorts was okay.
And all the game shows.
You can't say that on television. Was that one of them?
The
one with where they put water and slime on you?
That predated All That. That was like their sketch show before All That. Yeah, because they had the big slime thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Just never had any affinity for Nickelodeon shows.
Do you guys remember the intro to that show? You can't do that on television?
No, I think I got into Nick with like All That. I don't remember anything before.
It was very close to like a Monty Python intro.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
I don't have any recollection of that.
Oh, big time. I kind of
we've got to get it now.
I kind of got to pull it up.
Feck needs more slime.
No. Oh, no.
No, thank you.
Let me prep my arm.
If we didn't... I'm choking now. If we didn't have all this delicate equipment in here, maybe we could get like some super soakers and fill them with slime.
Volkai, thank you for mentioning the Carmen San Diego game show because I couldn't remember if that was on Nick or not, but I wanted to mention that show was great.
Was it on Nick?
What about what was the Hidden Temple with
Legends of the Hidden Temple? Was my favorite show as a
which they're making a movie out of now.
Yeah, that's gonna suck.
Yeah, well, I mean,
All right,
Ain't gonna be any worse than Jumanji.
Here's the intro for You Can't Do That on Television.
We're gonna get content tape down.
Probably. Dude, this is straight up a Monty Python intro.
Oh my god.
I remember that.
I had forgotten about this. I have seen this though.
Why can't you do this on television?
Because there's too much slime.
Jail office. School principal with
This whole show is
It
so
really
weird.
is. If they didn't get Terry Gilliam to do this, I would have said that this is a Terry Gilliam thing.
You can't do that on television. Yet they did.
Oh my god.
Dude, all of this shit is like...
This is so weird.
Oh my god, this is such a throwback. Oh, wow.
In stereo.
Man, look at the 90s haircuts on all those kids.
90s? That's like bordering on 7. Some of those were like feathered. Whatever turns you on. Oh, that's weird. This is one that I remember right here.
Oh my god.
Sausage Factory.
Dude, yeah, that's like a total throwback to Monty Python.
Yeah. Oh my god. 1980s. Okay.
1980s, yeah.
That Carmen Sandiego was on PBS, by the way.
PBS. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Double
sure
Dare?
Double Dare. Yeah.
That was on Nick.
Nick Arcade, of course, obviously, was shouting out Phil Moore. Which, by the way, if he's working on reviving Nick Arcade as Battle Arcade, yeah. Make sure if that's something that interests you, he's got a GoFundMe right now. So I'm sure Kookie's got a link to that here in the chat room.
If you want a modern day Nick Arcade where they play for real money, then check this out.
Dude, it sounded like a great idea. It sounded really fun. And the thing is that they want to bring us on. So
there is that too.
If you want an additional financial incentive, because you would see us on a game show, which, by the way, we're like probably 4 or 5 of the least qualified people to ever be on a game, to be on television.
Hold on. To be announcers for a game show. I think that's right up our alley.
I mean, maybe like if we're doing like play-by-play or something.
I'd actually love to see Fat as a contestant on a game show. But he never gets kicked off. He's in every round, regardless of how bad he is.
I want to see him in the like Double Dare headgear and the onesie that they had.
No, straight up like Legends of the Hidden Temple. Like you have to do like the rope climb across. I want to see that.
Oh yeah.
Or that fucking silver monkey.
Yeah,
that thing was hard to create, man.
That whole game was hard.
Do they still do what's that one? The Japanese show where they have to do the crazy obstacle courses. Is that still going on? Because we need to get Fat on that show.
No, but you can do the American version, Wipeout. Yeah,
Wipeout.
Wipeout. Dumb things happen to stupid people. I love it. It's a great show.
Pretty sure that's the name of Fat's autobiography.
Oh, white people.
No, dumb things happen to stupid people.
Oh.
After 2 years, Phantasy Star Online has announced it is closing its servers.
Phantasy Star Online 2.
2, yes, thank you. The development team has announced...
I was going to say, is this 2001?
The development team has announced all players will receive 60 days free playtime and in-game items weekly until the servers go down May 26th.
Womp,
How sad.
womp, womp. Your world is ending, peasants!
Did that ever get a North American, like, did it get a...
I believe it was only ever Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah, that's what I
don't think
thought.
it ever made it stateside.
I mean, because I know that there was a market. People really wanted to play.
They wanted it here, yeah.
And to the point where there were, like, some really, like, concerted efforts to be able to translate the UI to make it playable.
I saw, like, some, like, weird percentage of, like, Southeast Asia accounts were actually, like, North American accounts, like, hacking in to get over there.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, man, if you're gonna do an MMO, go the extra distance and make sure that you're releasing a worldwide product, because clearly, a regional MMO is a bad idea.
Definitely.
I mean, Lineage skated way too long. Like NCSoft as a company skated way too long on just having regional MMOs, but they did the extra effort and tried to bring some stateside. It never did very well.
St. Cooper in our chat is saying only the Southeast Asian servers are going down, that the JP servers are still going strong.
Right. Up next, oh my god, we got a video clip that we found.
Yes.
And it is
A
from
doozy?
the 90s.
It's a
and
doozy.
this will bring back some memories for some of you whose parents maybe were a little concerned about you playing Dungeons and Dragons with your friends all the time.
So
we had to show this clip.
So this video was shared on Kotaku. I think that's where we
Yeah, we
had picked
found
it up
Kotaku,
from.
yep.
And I really want to watch the full thing.
Me too.
Because I mean, just the 30-second clip that they had posted was pretty good, but this full video is hysterical. So I mean, like, this sort of reaches back to like Jack Thompson. Like,
Yeah.
this is
This guy's
almost
before
pre.
Thompson.
Yeah, this
His
is
before
pre
This
Thompson.
predates Thompson.
Yep.
And this is I don't even know who this guy is.
It's Saul Goodman. Bro.
Yeah.
That is kind of who it looks
that
like.
man-
It's before the meth, obviously.
He is going to walk off camera and help Walter White out of a jam.
And I'm not sure what dusty attic box this VHS tape came out of, but God bless the person who put it online, whose YouTube accounts.
Dragon bless him.
Well, his YouTube account is Goblins Still Exist, which is maybe one of my favorite YouTube account names ever. I'm actually kind of surprised that this didn't come from Everything Is Terrible. This is exactly up Everything Is Terrible's avenue. So anyway, all right, let's check out what this guy has to say here.
Dungeons and Dragons is a real serious problem. But as we'll see in the upcoming few moments, the problems with role-playing games have moved far beyond Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh my god.
Because in Japan, I've heard that
Look at that
they're
haircut.
really
Oh my
into the
God.
role-playing games where you don't just bash people.
That kid is that guy's son, by the way. There's
gotta
no way
use your head and stuff.
he did not do any
But
research. He just
here
filmed
it's
his
sort
son
of
talking.
Well, not to mention the kid kind of like I think disproves his point because he's like, look, in Japan there's role playing games, so instead of just bashing people's head ins, you have to walk around and use your head. Like I'm like that doesn't sound bad at all.
No,
That sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you have to actually apply some skills, and the guy is so like dense to the whole conversation that he's like, yep, confirmation, yep, that's that. He's just got this is confirmation bias written all over it.
Oh, we Mario 3. We're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah,
for this.
we might get tagged for that. Consider.
Oh my god, look at that kid.
They're Canadian, by the way.
Oh boy.
In case that wasn't readily apparent.
That is a straight up mullet.
Hang on, yeah, this kid's mullet wasn't a dead giveaway that they were Canadian. You needed the T-shirt to tell you. Are you shitting me?
Yeah, because let's pretend that mullets in this day that day and age were exclusive to Canada.
Well, maybe this brand of mullet was. I mean,
that's
the Canadian mullet.
What, the fact that it's like all lustrous and shiny instead of like dirty and Joe Dirtish?
No, it's like they put a bowl on his head and just stopped cutting around the back.
Like not just that, but I mean like it's all uneven. It's not even like look at that. Like look at how uneven.
Party in the back, motherfucker.
Jesus. Oh, that's grim. All right. Nintendo, don't.
Please don't sue us.
We're
sorry for
talking
this.
over this. Yeah.
We promise we're not trashing on your product.
No.
No idea at all.
Stop that.
This guy is.
Dungeons and Dragons is a passé concern in the years gone by. And
All right, can we just real quick point out that he is complaining about Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games and then shows a clip of Super Mario Bros. 3?
Yeah.
Seems legit.
God damn. There's no way we don't get in trouble for that. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I wonder what the books behind him are. Because there's no way...
Dude, he rented out that office to talk in. What's it matter what those books are?
No, but that's the thing is, like, he found those books at, like, a bookstore that was going out of sale. So there's, like, 17 copies of the A volume of Encyclopedia Britannica back there.
He's probably filming in that same store that was going out of business. He's like, look, I'll give you a 20 if I can hook this TV up and just do a little thing real quick.
Yeah, you guys got, like, a half hour before you close down?
It's like it's about the evils of role-playing games. We're trying to keep kids away from D&D and Satan.
Is shot down immediately when we go into our local video store or into the toy stores and take a look at what the newest toys are. Because some of the hottest selling items, of course, are the Nintendo games. And I'm sure we've all heard of Nintendo by now.
Have we? Really? At this point? God, dude, like, people don't even think about the shit that they're saying before they say it. Like, I'm sure this guy's reading off of a script, and he's like,
he's not, because he stumbles later on. He pulls some classic Nate stuff.
And as we went into our local video store where they rented the games, we asked the sales clerk, and he told us that they were sold right out. That they were rented
sold
every night.
right out.
Kids who couldn't buy them were just renting them one night after another. Every time they could get their $5 to rent the games to play.
Like
$5,
like crack fiends.
Was it $5 to rent a game in the early 90s?
Hell no. Hell no.
Not here.
They were renting multiple games.
Maybe in Canada. This is, by the way, this guy's clearly Canadian Jack Thompson.
Canadian Jack.
That's, I mean, yeah, that's, to me, that's, I think, that's
Jackie the Moose Thompson.
Why don't you Canucks go back where you came from?
We got a hashtag build the wall to the north.
There you go.
In chat.
There you go. I agree with that.
We began to take a closer look at the Nintendo games, and as we walked down the aisles of the video store, we saw the incredibly descriptive titles.
Listen to how descriptive these titles are.
Of the instruction manuals for Final Fantasy, and we'll talk about this.
I wonder what special message he has for Final Fantasy.
I can't wait.
These descriptive titles get even better.
More descriptive?
More than Final Fantasy?
More descriptive than that.
As magic, wizardry.
Wizardry! How descriptive! Wonder what that's about.
Smoking gun evidence.
Only the beginning of what were in those.
Only the beginning of what was in the what? Oh my God!
There's wizardry in them, guys,
and penises.
It's
okay.
No.
No.
Why do you do this every time?
What is it with your obsession with penises?
Can you please?
You suck at everything.
Can you please explain this to me?
Well, I mean,
like we make
guys and wizardry.
We make all the gay jokes at Cali. Is there something you want to come out and tell us?
Penises?
Yeah. Yeah, fat penises.
Okay.
God damn.
Roll the video, Jesus.
Those video counters. Then we went and conducted some interviews with some young men who were video game addicts, so to speak.
Addicts.
Video game addicts, so to speak. So basically, he found some kids who play video games and was like,
"Nah, you're addicted."
Hey, read this script.
God damn it.
Games, and we learned, as I mentioned off the top of this report, that it's a whole new world out there.
Well, report. We're stretching the truth a little bit here.
Yeah, seriously. Is anyone taking it that? I mean, you put it on a VHS. That doesn't mean that people are going to watch it. I can't believe that this was aired anywhere.
I'd love
on a local PBS station.
Yeah, I'd love to see the news station that has this in their vault and they're just ashamed of it.
They're in front of their video boards and they totally understand.
Their video boards?
What is a video board?
It's like, well, you got an audio board right here. It's like that, but with videos.
No.
That's an audio board.
He's referring to a controller, I think.
You know
we
what?
Didn't have forums this early, did we? The internet was that around yet?
Oh no.
Okay.
No way.
Yeah, there was.
No way.
Yeah.
That guy does not have that many books and still have the internet. Like, there's just no way.
Well,
the two things don't exist at the same time.
It was really expensive.
There was like a BBC's, right? Something like that.
I think at that point you would actually like find a reason to throw out the 75 volumes of Encyclopedia Britannica's Volume A. But I mean, honestly, like a video board, like I think a video board is like a skateboard that you also play video games on.
That sounds awesome.
With your backwards hat.
I have no doubt that Nintendo released that as a peripheral.
That's
in the 80s.
right.
I have no doubt that exists
It
somewhere.
came with custom sunglasses.
Didn't they try to release something like that for a recent Tony Hawk game?
Oh, they did.
Oh,
it's so bad.
Was that
bad.
Nintendo? Or was it Xbox?
Does it matter?
I have no idea. I don't know. I think it was Nintendo.
Was it Nintendo?
I think it
Maybe
was.
you'll explain to us what a video board is, because I'm in the dark here.
And are entranced in a world that we know nothing about.
Nope.
One of the kids that we interviewed smiled because his mother was off the camera and said, "My mother just can't figure this thing out. She doesn't even know where to turn the keyboard on."
Breaking news, kids like it when their parents aren't doting on everything they do.
Yeah, not just that, but I mean, like, damn. I'm sorry, I need
I
to
think
clear my throat.
I think the video board is like a keyboard, like a computer, because you just talked about where to turn on the keyboard, the computer from the keyboard.
I think so. Yeah.
This just in: kids don't think it's cool when their parents like the same things as them.
Yeah, seriously.
What a shock.
Like that's some sort of like subversive, like, oh, your kids are definitely doing drugs and sucking dick now.
Because you don't know how to work it, that means it's bad.
Dear God. I mean, like, yeah, it basically all this is unknown, scary. What are your kids into? Bruh.
Yet this is his whole life, and the generation gap has grown as never before. But to move beyond that and talk about these games, we began, as these children were playing the games and they were describing them to us, we began to look through the instruction manual. And I have here one for wizardry, and I don't know if you can see it from here. Maybe we can get another shot of it.
We can't do that.
You know,
there we go.
The Bible tells us that in the last
Master
days
series.
The Bible. All right, so
here we go.
What does the Bible say about video games?
He's quoting the Bible, so we already know.
And scroll back a little bit, because what he says here is important to catch.
All right.
This is great.
Okay.
For wizardry, and I don't know if you can see it from here. Maybe we can get another shot of it off camera. You know, the Bible tells us that in the last days that the whole world will worship the dragon. And here we see
Jesus! This is a copy of Double Dragon. The Bible tells us in the end days that the people will worship a dragon. Clearly, a double dragon is twice as bad.
It's the apocalypse 2 times.
Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like,
yes,
that's a bit of a fucking stretch.
Nate, that's the point. Jesus Christ.
You geeks are so gullible.
This is outstanding.
Oh my God. We know that in the end days that people will worship a hedgehog and he will go 75 miles an hour. What the fuck is this guy's point?
And lo, when thou hast collected 50th of the holiest rings, you will become the supersonic.
Proving grounds of the mad overlord. How does that not strike fear into your hearts? Do you not yearn for the safety of our future?
Proving grounds of the mad overlord. All right, for like this isn't even like pertinent to this guy, but we need to be really mad at them for that awful catchphrase.
Are you kidding? That's an amazing one.
I feel like this guy's head would fucking explode if someone who was into Dragonkin would like explain to him what they were into. You know what I mean?
I want someone to go back in time and have this guy play Diablo.
Oh God, Diablo, yeah.
That's fine. You go and fight Diablo and then kill the devil. That's fine.
Yeah, you help angels to fight the devil.
That's a Christian game.
Can I just
as the demon hunter?
Can I just
you hunt the demons? It's perfect. He's an angel.
Can I just point out the amazing, super awesome feature includes game save memory feature?
You know what? Not everything had that back then.
Thank you, wizardry.
You know what?
Witchcraft and magic. Clearly.
You mean to tell me that it holds on to information even when you turn off the power? It is the power of the devil that keeps your save file.
Oh, God.
The cover is the dragon. These kids are becoming acclimated to this very kind of thing. And I began to look through the instruction manual, and I see here how to cast magical spells.
I'd like
in his head. Is he aware that is referring to casting a spell in the game?
Is he aware that it's a game?
Well, here's the thing, because when I was watching this, I'm thinking, like, did you actually read the description? Because usually it says stuff like, press A button, select this, blah, 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 blah. But back then, they actually wrote these books, like, role-playing and character-type stuff. This is super major stuff here, guys.
Yeah, but, like, here's the thing, though.
Spell name is Malor.
See, here's the thing, though, is you've got to remember, at the time that this video came out, there was this really important television show that every household family was watching.
Simpsons?
No, it was the one with the kid had the controller all the way around his belt and the power glove.
Oh. Captain N.
Captain N.
Oh,
That's
no.
right. Exactly. Captain N. And so he knew something that nobody else knew, is that if you use those two fashion accessories in conjunction with one another, you actually could cast real-life magical spells.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
That's right.
It's weird that we let that technology go by the wayside.
Well, it's unfortunate that he doesn't really explain the full concept, is that, like, this is all based off of Captain N.
Which was a
Because
great
back in
show.
the day, people they weren't able to decipher fantasy from reality.
That's the only thing that I can walk away from this video with.
They thought they were watching reality TV. It was all reality.
They had people in their little picture boxes that were moving around.
Let's see what he says about casting magical spells. The level 7 mage spells, by the way.
Teleport.
Malor.
Mage spells and cleric spells. And you go to the pages that it's listed on, in this instance, page 41.
Thank you for...
Okay, thank you.
Let's recall the days when manuals had 41 pages in them. Holy hell.
He's doing MLA documentation, okay? Props to Canadian guy.
What's wrong with cleric magic? Like, that's good magic, right?
Well, only if you're the cleric casting it. If you're trying to be like a fake cleric casting it, then that's devilry.
I think the 7th commandment is thou shalt not cast spells, isn't it?
Regardless
Just
of
in
what
general,
these spells
yeah,
are.
you're not allowed to. I'm pretty sure.
Descriptions of how to cast spells and how to contact powerful spirits and how to use these spirits and these powers to overcome, obviously, evil or good, because there's both white and black magic.
Oh, no.
You know what? We could blow this dude's mind if we told him about red magic.
I know, right?
He'd lose his shit.
A mixing of the
Indian
black
magic?
and the white.
What if he would just assume it was Indian magic?
What if he knew about ninjutsu? I mean,
That's advanced technology. I don't think he's. I don't think
he could handle it.
He can't comprehend a ninja.
This is ridiculous. I fucking love.
I
love everything about this video.
I want to see him learn about paladins, the holy knights that use white magic in the name of God.
Well,
a god.
First of all, he mentions that you can use magic in like a good or evil sense, but it's a slippery slope.
These books. We picked up another one to see if that was just coincidence, and it's dungeon magic here. And we look through again, and we see in here casting magic spells, page 22, with a complete description. And it says here, each wizard has mastered a certain type of magic. When you meet a wizard, he will give you 4 basic elements of his mystical studies. So
guys, I don't know
That
about...
sounds legit.
I don't know about the last time you guys met wizards, but I know when I met my wizard, like, he gave me...
Put your dick in his mouth?
He gave... God damn it! I was working towards that joke! Fuck! I was working towards a good joke, and you just took the legs right out from underneath it.
It was getting a little long-winded. I had to stop you before it took too long.
You are literally the worst.
I thought it was, I thought it was gonna be a magical plant joke.
Magical plant.
Yeah, I thought this was going to work up to him meeting his weed dealer.
Who he calls the wizard.
The Grand Wizard.
You should start calling him the wizard now. Well, what up, Wiz?
Oh no!
What happened?
I don't know. Where'd it go?
What is this?
What is this bullshit?
What's going on?
Dungeons and Dragons.
There we go.
Oh,
is a
Jesus.
real
All right.
serious
I don't know what that was all
watch
about.
it all over again.
I don't know what that was all about. That was weird.
And I have here one for wizardry, and I don't know if you can
All
see it.
right.
from
Yeah,
your
we
video.
got wizardry.
And
Thank
you
you.
go to the pages.
Yeah, we got that.
Obviously, evil or good, because there's both white and black magic.
White and black magic.
Black
Remember
magic
that.
is the worst.
That was just coincidence, and it's
Obviously.
dungeon
Not a
magic here.
coincidence.
And we look through again, and we see in here casting magic spells, page 22, with a complete description. And it says here, each wizard has mastered a certain type of magic.
Yeah, we know
When
about the
you meet a
wizard.
He will give you 4 basic elements of his mystical studies.
Yes.
So we have a wizard now teaching the children of his magical studies. And then here it says...
Like the
"It
guy
is
just
important
shows
to
up.
remember
I
that
see you bought dungeon magic. Let me teach you how that works. Take your fire, your wind, your lightning, and your earth elements.
Well, I like the idea that, like, yeah, the game, like, stops there after you talk to the wizard to take, like, a brief moment to have a tutorial on how to use magic in
Not
the real
just a
world.
tutorial. A wizard will visit you to teach you.
Out of the picture box.
I like the idea that somehow all video game makers were also occult members that wanted to recruit children to the occult. Like, what? Like, no.
That'd be so cool, though.
I mean, it would be, but
I'd be down.
To be fair, if that had existed in the 90s, I would have been the first to buy that game.
It's a bananas fucking headcanon, but sure, all right.
The force of all magic is the life force of the user. This is the teaching of the occult. This is exactly what we were introduced in.
See,
well, he went ahead and said it for us.
To cast magic, you use your life force. To cast magic is, in of itself, a danger to all of us.
Can we just take a moment to realize that if he actually believed one word that he was saying, he would play these games, learn to do real magic, and make $1 billion.
But that would be evil.
Excuse me. He is a good, God-fearing Christian. He would never do that.
That's right. He is too.
Yeah, no evangelists have ever just made tons of money off their religion.
I think the word
You're
is
talking about
evangelism.
him making money off of damning his religion and practicing magic.
If you learn white magic, you can say the next coming of Christ. Who cares?
Is that a
That would be a
spell?
lie.
Was that a spell that I missed in wizardry? Was turning water into wine?
Transmutation? Maybe. That's in a lot of games.
Jesus was an alchemist.
God damn it!
Turning
I didn't
potions-
expect you to actually have an answer for that.
Turning potions into high potions.
That's a
In
glitch.
Star
That needs to
Wars,
get patched.
That there is some magical power, some life force that runs throughout the universe, and it is this power that we can tap into.
binds us and
for either
penetrates
good or
us.
evil. Of course, in Star Wars, Luke Skywalker would tap into it for good, and Darth Vader would tap into the same power for evil. So
Okay.
So he's okay with Star Wars.
Space wizards are okay.
Hang on.
Double-edged sword, guys.
Hang on. Hang on. Stop it, Mr. Canadian guy. We all know that the Force is actually a buildup of midichlorians in the blood, which are tiny little microscopic parasites.
Alternative facts.
This is just
Alternative
science.
facts.
There's no magic about it.
There's no moral good or bad force. That actually is canon, that there is no moral good or bad force.
Nerd.
I'm actually kind of
part of
excited to see how the Star Wars canon.
Episode 8 is probably going to touch on that very heavy.
Yeah, like gray Jedis are actually
Yes,
like
please.
are playing a pretty big role in things like
Whoa,
Rebels.
hold on. A Jedi is naturally a good guy, so you can't have gray Jedis. You can have gray Force users.
Have you seen
It'd
Rebels?
be like saying a gray Sith.
Have you watched Rebels yet?
What?
You need to watch Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
Are they called gray Jedi?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is completely wrong. I'm out.
No.
Thanks, George Lucas.
Seriously, you know what it is? It's Firefly-esque.
Is there elements of Final Fantasy Tactics and Chrono Trigger in it?
You know, and it's funny because I know that's like a trigger phrase for you, Chris.
Yeah.
But I genuinely mean that it.
No, you
It
shut
is-
the fuck up.
It is a little bit Firefly-esque.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
there was no God judging the hearts of mankind. There was no moral code to live up to. We just had this power that we could use at our discretion. And here is this teaching right now in these video games. So it is not just some social misfit who is off playing Dungeons and Dragons in the corner somewhere. Now it's the very Nintendo games.
That's right, you goddamn social misfit.
Oh.
Why don't you conform?
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're the one who starts all this, you tabletop role player.
That's
misfit.
right. That's right. Remember how he prefaced this entire video?
It's not just Dungeons and Dragons.
It's
That's
not.
where it
yeah,
starts.
exactly.
Now you're gonna start creating video games about being a wizard and having wizards shove elemental balls in your mouth.
Nick has gotten to that stage.
That's why she's gone today.
Oh my god. This is so ridiculous and over
It's the best thing I've seen all week.
This really is.
That's saying
This really is like maybe my favorite video ever on YouTube.
Look at another one here, just to show you that this is not just an isolated example. I'm looking now at the instruction guide to one of the Nintendo games, Final Fantasy.
Oh, here we go.
Looking here, page 72, white magic. Page 76, black magic.
Hey,
And
wait,
once again,
whoa, hang on, go back.
What kind of match do we have? Come on.
Hang on. Okay, so
Slap.
So
good old slap.
Yes, for white magic here, we've got Cure, one ally,
Harm all enemies. Yep.
Fog. I forgot that was a spell.
Yep, it was.
That's just a guy farting.
Ruse.
Level 2, lamp.
I had forgotten some
Lamp.
of these dumb spells that you
pretty
got.
sure
I love lamp.
Ruse does not work. It's glitched. Don't even bother trying to learn that spell.
I love lamp. It's my favorite
It
spell.
removes dark.
Yep.
Mute. Can I cast that on Chris?
Please.
No.
Well, if you get the
72,
instruction
white
guide, you can.
Let's take a look at black magic. We got fire, slap. Yep, slap. Lit.
That's lightning.
No.
It says lightning is
It's- no.
fired from the magician's fingers.
It's lit.
Lit AF.
That's lit.
Everyone has a real good time.
Fire emoji.
Lit AF.
That's right.
100.
God damn.
76, black magic. And once again, it's how you can get in touch with your wizard and learn all the levels of
How to get in touch.
Was that the section of the book saying where to go in town to buy your magic?
Oh, I was going to say, usually to get a hold of my wizard, I just page him. What? They had pagers back then.
Yeah, it looks like, well, first...
The book's in French.
Yeah.
Oh, this explains everything. He's French-Canadian. Now it makes sense.
But yeah, it looks like that's just the page that goes over the different items.
They're all potions.
Yeah.
There are different kinds of potions.
So... how exactly does it show me how to get in touch with the wizard? Because I want to get in touch with the wizard.
That's on a different page. He's just saying these are the things
Well,
that
this is
it
a
shows.
bad example, then.
The wizard will want these items. He will want the Retel Blit potion.
He wants
the Reta Blit potion.
He wants the pure...
Purify.
Purify?
And
Mao.
Moo.
Okay.
It's pronounced moo. It comes from a cow.
I wonder what he believes goes on in the tent.
Satanic cults.
Oh, I want to see the scene in Zelda 2 when the girl takes you into the room to restore your HP or into the house. Yeah, we know what's going on in there.
We do.
Just cooking.
Same thing that happens
get
in fairy
touch
fountains.
with your wizard and learn all the levels of magic. You see, it's not just a simple one little thing. There are 8 different levels of magic.
It's not one little simple thing. It's 8 levels of magic.
There's 8 levels. You're never going to get the 8th level. You're going to beat the game before then.
Listen, you have to memorize the spells and the different ingredients that you need for spells to be able to play this game. No.
Okay, well, it's just like being a Christian. Like, there's not one little thing. You got different levels. You got like the clergy or the little people at the bottom, and then you got like other levels of clergymen, and you get like the high grandmaster, right?
You've got the clergy little people at the bottom,
Yeah.
And the grand wizard.
and the grandmaster.
You got the steeple, and then the little people inside. It's not some little thing. It applies to everything.
Sure.
Like the Force.
We'll go with that.
And the Grey Jedis.
I think we've made the point of the
Have you?
incredible occultism that is contained in all these games. But the important point, and if we can leave you from this report with one bit of understanding, it is that all of these things reinforce each other. We go from the cartoons to the videos to the rock and roll music.
Whoa!
Come on.
And then
Jesus!
we go to the educational classroom. And we see that these kids are getting a worldview, one after another, that is building on top of this. We have children who spend, they say the statistics, I've said it before, 7 hours a day watching television. They spend another 2 or 3 hours in front of these video games. By the time they go to bed at night, they have had another gospel preached to them through these cartoons.
Good.
Man,
Good. I'm glad.
Mr. Rogers' Canadian neighbor is a fucking loser.
My favorite line, they're getting so many different worldviews. That's a bad thing.
That's, clearly you
Kids
don't.
only need a single worldview.
That's right. My God, dude.
This is brutal.
You're some kind of moron, you know that?
I don't know. I to be honest, I sort of prefer my fantasy world full of elves and dragons and fire spells and lit spells.
Slap.
As opposed to your world of pedophile boy touching and priests that don't know how to fucking behave. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay,
like
well-
what's your fucking alternative that you're offering that's so fucking great?
To be fair, back in the 90s, nobody knew they were touching boys.
That hadn't come out yet.
Well,
That's in the next patch. That's level 2. They were only level 1.
but I mean, like, think of the product that you're offering. I mean, shit. So many people already think of religions as the product that they're trying to sell. They make so much goddamn money off of it in the first fucking place. You might as well just think of it as a product or your brand. And what is your alternative that you're offering?
Boring.
A fucking hour's worth of sitting at church that is boring. No one likes it. I don't care how religious you are, church fucking blows.
Okay,
and everyone knows it.
But then at the end, you get to eat Christ, and he's a cracker.
Oh boy, I get cracker time instead of elves with cleavage. I'll take the elves with cleavage every single time. Every single time. That was a weird drop to hit. I'm gonna say.
What are you saying, that elves with cleavage does not warrant a victory fanfare?
No, I mean, I guess, but
okay.
It made me smile. It was good.
But I mean, like I don't know what this guy thought that he was trying to accomplish.
He's trying to scare the members of his congregation and, get them to give him money, probably.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Your kids are joining a cult, but we want them to join our cult.
Our cult's way better.
We have crackers.
But no elves with cleavage.
Our cult's way better. Just don't ask us why.
Goddamn.
Because we have elves with cleavage. That's why.
Anyway. There was more news.
That was a news story.
That was a news story.
Wow. Okay.
Congratulations, guys. We got to the end of that.
A new league is forming in the realm of esports called Burst League, which will collect some of the overlooked fighting games in the FGC, namely Guilty Gear XRD, BlazBlue Central Fiction, and King of Fighters 14. The league is developing a point system similar to what Street Fighter V does and is collecting a number of pre-existing tournaments to run under its banner.
That's kind of cool.
Neat.
It's a good idea. Yeah, let's take a bunch of tournaments that aren't getting a lot of recognition and bring them all under one banner.
Well, not just that. It's not that they don't just get recognition, but it's also hard to sell tickets. Like it's hard to get people to want to watch the exhibitions
one-on-one. Yeah,
yeah. Putting them all kind of together and saying like we're going to use this as an exhibition for a whole bunch of stuff. If they can present it really well, I think that would be really attractive to a whole lot of just spectators.
When we talk about like the different leagues that do exist out there, I think that's one thing that well, I guess up until now has been overlooked is the idea that, all right, yeah, we have esports as an umbrella term, encompasses a lot of stuff, but why don't we have like, an FPS league or the FCG, a fighting league,
or a card game league.
Or a card game league. That way people who are interested in one, very specific type of competitive gaming, they have a go-to source for it.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. And I mean, I think that we're seeing how complicated esports can be with all of the different leagues among all of the different games. We've got Blizzard that's sort of starting their own Overwatch league that's separate from everything else. And then you've got Overwatch that's played as a bunch of other leagues. And you've got, there are some leagues that even do multiple games. So it's like it's almost impossible unless you're a fan of the game and you're specifically just following the one game. Mm-hmm. If you want to be just a fan of esports, that like finding a cohesive way to wrap your head around this is really quite difficult.
Yeah.
And I think that there is, for a while it's going to be like this, but I think that there's going to be a visionary out there, like a Vince McMahon for esports that's going to take all of these sort of
a John Madden for esports.
No, I'm sticking with my Vince McMahon analogy,
like a Jim Carrey for esports,
where he's going to take. God damn it. He's going to do what Vince McMahon did with wrestling, where it was a very territorial, very regional kind of system, and ended up taking and presenting the WWF and the WWE out of that. And it's going to take someone really, really smart, far smarter than anything that I could ever come up with, to really figure out how to manage all of that, how to exhibit all of that, and how to make it a consumable product. And I think when they do, that's going to make things like betting a lot less complicated. It's going to make things like following and being a fan of esports a whole less complicated. And I think that in the end, they're just going to make more money doing that.
Marvel Heroes Omega has officially been announced for the PS4 and Xbox One. The action RPG from Gazillion Games has been on PC for about 3 years now and looks to launch on consoles this spring. Microsoft has banned all emulators from the Windows Store as of March 29th. This includes the popular NES box, which emulated NES, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis.
This actually, the reason that this article surprised me is I feel like this is something that they should have
done a while ago.
Well, should have done, but something that they would have done a while ago. Yeah.
I can't believe that they weren't already banned.
Yeah, exactly.
That seems very weird.
Yeah. No, well, but the thing is I mean, they're talking about what is the Microsoft Store exactly?
The Windows Store, the one you can access when you on like when you have like Windows 10, you can go down a little icon for the Windows Store. It's their app store.
Okay, so let's see. Here's the thing: is that I only have Windows 10 on my least used computer, so I don't actually know anything about it.
It's an
I
app
have
store.
Windows 10, and I still don't use the Microsoft Store.
I don't use it
Okay,
either.
so you can still install software to your computer that is outside of that.
Yes,
I have an emulator on my computer. It's just weird that
it is
they
weird
were
that it was.
there.
Yeah, I agree.
Square Enix's CEO has reaffirmed that SE wants to release both original games and ports on the Switch, saying they'll focus more on the Switch than the upcoming Scorpio.
Which is hilarious, considering that the Scorpio is supposed to win back developers.
Yeah.
Well, that just happened.
So I think that this is smart on Square Enix's part. And the reason is that, you know, they've been so focused on graphics, make it look as as good as it can for, I don't know, like 10, maybe 15 years. And since they've started to kind of get away from that and release a more variety of products, I think that they've seen a surprising, surprising response to it. Games like Bravely Default did very, very well for them, and I think proved that Square Enix doesn't need to make games that look the best. I think that they need to make the games that their audience expects out of them, whether that's Bravely Default or the classic Square Enix games, or whether that's Final Fantasy 15 and the sort of like new Square Enix direction.
Right.
I'm kind of ambivalent as to either way, because I think both directions have merit.
Well, yeah, because they're in a really interesting predicament, because Final Fantasy 15 probably did well sales-wise. If you look at the numbers, I'm sure their direction is fine to the people who make the decisions. But when you look at the sentiment from fans, you're right. I think people, talk more fondly about stuff like Bravely Second or even I Am Setsuna than they probably do Final Fantasy 15. And I hope that somebody there has finally realized that maybe we shouldn't just throw all of our eggs into the, super hyper realistic graphics, and we should start making games that are fun to play again.
Yeah, and the thing is that they're also very good about their ports. We've seen a lot of very well done ports from Square Enix, including Final Fantasy X and X-2, the Breath of Fire games that have been reissued for phone. Just a lot of very well received titles. Maybe not necessarily in the AAA game department, but a lot of very well received stuff. And I think that if you take a game like Final Fantasy 12 and you put it on the Switch, there's no way I'm not buying that. There's no fucking way. Because I would have bought it on the Vita. I mean, that's and after I buy a Switch, that is pretty much I'm looking at the devices or thinking about the devices in my head in very similar terms. So yeah, I think that ports of some of the some of their older games that they're remastering, very smart idea to be focusing those to be coming out on the Switch as opposed to making them for the PS4 or for the Xbox One, or and if you do focus on the Switch, which is kind of like the lowest tuned hardware, then you can kind of upscale everything from there for all of those bigger platforms.
That's right.
Did you hear that Secret of Mana is coming to the Switch in Japan?
No.
Yes, it's coming with Secret of Mana and Seiken Densetsu 3.
Oh wait, we covered that as a news story when we
on Checkpoint. I think we covered that. Yeah,
I thought it was on both.
Maybe it was definitely on Checkpoint.
It may have been the week that
I wasn't here.
Fat couldn't fit through the door.
A new malware.
We're happy that you can now, by the way.
Because we made the door bigger.
Oh, you just grease me up with butter and Crisco.
You already reek of butter enough.
It was too dangerous. We couldn't risk you licking it off yourself.
A new malware.
I'll do that without the butter. See you like that, you fuckers.
Gross.
A new malware is making the rounds, which you will never convince me was not either created by Nate or specifically for him. Titled ransomware, the virus takes the form of an anime girl, which locks down your computer's files, and you then get to play a game, specifically TH12 Undefined Fantastic Object, and have to score 200 million points on the lunatic level to free your computer.
Holy shit. This is the worst virus I've ever heard of in my life.
You got to play a weeb animu game get access to your computer again. And not only play it, you have to get good at it.
So many memes are coming to mind, like when the devil's begging God, just let me create one thing, just one thing. Okay, fine. Yes. Creates this. Or
that sounds right.
The Powerpuff Girl one. That is the most evil thing I have ever heard of.
That is terrible. That is the worst. It really is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Apparently, the creator made it as a joke in like his one of his college courses,
and it took on a life of its own.
Yeah, pretty much.
If that, I honestly,
he's busy trying to beat that score so that he can access the terminate file on his computer as it infects the rest of the world.
I'd honestly unplug my computer and throw it out the window
at the birds.
That's right. Hopefully, I could kill more than two birds with one computer case.
GameStop has confirmed a possible security breach in its online store if you shop between mid-September and early February. They've engaged a third-party firm to investigate the breach, which targeted payment information, including CVV2 codes from credit cards.
All right, I would like to point out something with this article because they use the word allegedly a lot, and they've acknowledged that there's a possibility, right? But if you actually read like what's going on there, apparently they were contacted by a third party that the credit card information was actually on sale at some website.
Yeah.
So like the way that they were, I'm like, how is this allegedly?
Yeah, no, this happened.
Yeah, like this happened. They were just using like safe words. Not just was it credit card like numbers and expiration dates, but the CVV numbers too, which apparently websites aren't supposed to say. Those are supposed to be like super encrypted.
That's insane. Now, okay, so a couple of things to note about this is first of all, GameStop saying that it's allegedly, that's pretty sketchy.
A tech blog that broke the story, and I guess now GameStop are looking into it.
And here's the other thing is that so this could be a move to hit GameStop, give them bad PR. And if they're confirming whether or not the credit card numbers are accurate or whether or not there was a data breach, I guess fine. But you're now in a limited window that you've been called out. You have like 1 or 2 days to really respond to this.
You have to respond
this shit out.
Let us know what's
and
going
the thing
on.
is, and honestly, if it is that the credit card numbers are on sale and available right now, and you had no idea that there was a data breach, that this is how you end up working backwards to find out that there's a problem, that's completely unacceptable. That's totally unacceptable.
It's just the circle of life.
Well, and it makes it like first of, God damn, dude, I that's frustrating. That is seriously frustrating because you shouldn't have to put up with this. If you're a customer at GameStop, you put up with enough bullshit.
Yeah, especially have you used their online store? Their online store sucks.
Their online store is dismal. And I don't know why you would buy anything from their online store when you could just go to Amazon.
Yeah. Oh God.
Unless because one of the things that you can do from their website is you can have one of your local stores hold a copy of something for you. If that's all you're using, that's the only thing I've ever used it for.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's the only thing I've ever used it for. And if you're actually on there spending money, man, that's
you're crazy.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
An average game of Dota 2 lasts about 20 to 60 minutes, but an unranked match on the European servers put people's patience to the test recently. Both teams picked heavily defensive with strong wave clear and team fighting swinging capabilities. Jeez, I cannot talk today. The end result, despite a disconnect to go pick up a relative at an airport, was a 5-hour and 3-minute grind fest of a game.
Oh my God.
When I read this story, I'm like, what the
Yeah,
like apparently some of the heroes that they picked, like the traits that they have, can basically scale up like attack power and stuff like that. Like
it scales up infinitely.
Yeah. There is no cap to it.
So these heroes just keep getting stronger as the game goes on, and they all are so defensive minded they can clear the waves of minions that help you take objectives so fast. It became freaking impossible to actually go and play offense in this game, and it went for over 5 hours. Even after someone had to leave to go pick up a relative at an airport, the other team kept it going 5-on-4 for a long time.
Well, okay. For starters, that guy's an asshole. If you have to go pick up your relative at the airport, what are you doing playing Dota 2 3 hours before then?
Well, first of all, one of the reasons that this went on so long was the guy playing Legion Commander was apparently like a troll mastermind, and like basically people were staying there trying to beat him out of pure spite, One person during the match boasted that they had created 15 Steam accounts in the time they were playing and reported him on all 15 of them.
Wow. That's kind of impressive.
Yeah, like after that, that's like a 5 hours in one match. That is a harrowing experience. Like, those guys had to be as close to each other as two soldiers in a foxhole.
Can you imagine losing a 5-hour game of Dota 2?
I think at hour 3, I would have unplugged my computer and thrown it out the window.
Really? You would have given it to hour 3? I don't even think I've put 2 hours cumulatively into League of Legends. And that's across multiple matches.
Yeah, no. Or I would have set my cat down on my keyboard and just see what the end result is.
No,
I wouldn't have cared. I would have stopped caring. You can't keep me there for 5 fucking hours. Go fuck yourself.
Skuro says, in regards to the relative at the airport, you make that relative wait. You're making Dota fucking history.
That's right. How else would you get talked about on Final Encounter Cast?
Yeah.
That's an important thing in your life.
No, hour 2, you unplug and blame Comcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 10th Priest says after hour 3, you're committed. Like, you're not gonna, like, you've already wasted 3 hours at that point.
No, I think what he meant is after hour 3, you're committed to the mental asylum. Like, there's no one who...
They take you away.
Yeah. By force.
For more information on the news and other stories, visit our blog at finalencountercast.com.
Go fuck yourself, Callie.
No.
That took forever.
Yeah, it did.
Stupid
Holy
shit.
Anyway. All right. So let's talk about Project Scorpio. We just got the tech specs that were dropped this week for that. And it's interesting that Microsoft is really trying to make a play to revive the Xbox One brand. That seemed like the play that they were making. Like, they came out and kind of apologized for the Xbox One and like...
Yeah, well, one of the things that they mentioned was that the Xbox 360 had one of the best relationships with developers that I think Microsoft has had as far as the consoles go.
Right.
And they said that with the Xbox One, they basically destroyed those relationships in like a 2-year timeline. So going ahead with the Project Scorpio, that was their main goal, to bring developers back to us, to make a system that when you looked at it as a developer, it's like, holy shit, that's where we need to be. Those are the tools that we want to be working with.
Well, and it's a good idea to try to bring those developers back, but as you see with someone like Square Enix, some of those bridges are burned.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, the thing is, you know, like how once you're frustrated with the way that a company runs, just having new hardware is not going to be the thing that digs you out of the hole.
That's the question, is what actually made the developers leave? Was it that the Xbox One was a inferior system to the PS4? Or was it more about your business?
It was pretty comparable in terms of hardware specs. The Xbox One and PS4, you know, weren't that drastically different from each other.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it makes me wonder for sure, like, was this a issue where, where developers weren't happy with the hardware that they were working on, or were they not happy with Microsoft as a company?
Yeah, and if it is the latter, then I think Microsoft has a very, very tough road ahead of them. A few things that were outlined. A lot of people have been asking, is Scorpio technically like the next gen or not? They said that no, they do not consider the Scorpio the next gen. It's an upgraded version of the Xbox One, so it's basically their answer to the PS4 Pro, which here's my question now. Scorpio comes out this holiday season. PS4 Pro's been out for a while now.
Yeah.
Have the console... Like, I know we don't really refer to them as like the console wars anymore, but are they just done trying to release these things in competition of
roughly the same time?
After the beating that Microsoft took at the year that they... Because, you know what? And actually, this talking about this kind of jogged my memory. That whole, like, disc exclusive thing that they were trying to do, ruining the aftermarket of secondhand games, that may have actually done a whole lot of damage with developers because it burned a lot of bridges with gamers, that's for sure. And it allowed Sony to really just lay into Microsoft and box their ears at whatever E3 press conference that was. So, I think that you're going to see Microsoft definitely a little bit more gun-shy about the way that they end up going toe-to-toe.
Can you imagine, like, behind the scenes in boardrooms, how devastating that blow must have been to where they're like, all right, you know what? That's it. we're not releasing our shit at the same time as them anymore.
Well, if they had tried to go up against the PS4 Pro, they'd have also been going straight up against the PSVR as that was launching too.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And they don't have any kind of answer for the VR stuff.
Yeah.
At all.
Oh, come on, man. Eagle Flight?
Eagle Flight.
Star Trek Bridge Commander.
But I don't. None of that was compatible with Xbox One. All of that was games for Windows Live and played over like an Oculus Rift or something.
And I'm pretty sure that those two titles are even available on PlayStation anyhow.
Right.
One of the things that was said, and this is a direct quote, the decision to release a new, more powerful version of the Xbox One was also influenced by the hardware iteration model established by the mobile phone industry. They said that people don't want to wait for the newest thing, and they want that to be the new business model, is getting them the newest thing faster. And they also like the idea of how basically when you get a new phone, it's a seamless transfer. You pick up your new phone, all of your stuff transfers over. You don't have to worry about going through the hassle of all of that.
Right.
And so they weren't super clear on that, but the fact that almost everything that worked with the Xbox One works with the Scorpio. Your games are going to play. Your controllers are going to play. I think the only thing that you need an additional adapter for is the Kinect Eye. Is that what it's called? The camera, whatever the camera is for the Xbox One. Yeah, the Kinect.
And now I'm going to tell you exactly what's wrong with that perspective, but if you want to call in, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764 if you want to talk about Scorpio or anything. We'll get to Frank here in just a second.
Frank.
But the problem with that is the reason that the cell phone industry is able to sustain that model is because you have networks coming in and floating at least some portion of the cost of those phones.
Had I paid for my S7 out the door, that's like $700.
That's right.
And that ain't happening.
Instead, I think I'm paying $300 over 2 years.
Right, exactly. And I think that's the critical thing that they're overlooking is like GameStop's not going to sign you up to a credit card or some sort of subscription service to get their back end made and be able to subsidize a portion of your game console. That's never going to happen. I don't see a way that happens. And unless Microsoft can figure out a way to subsidize it, I don't think this whole model, this model that they've laid out of, well, people are going to want to upgrade, quicker and have these sort of like mid cycles in between your next console generation. As long as PCs exist and have the modular nature that they do, you're able to swap out the RAM, you're able to swap out the video card, you're able to upgrade it as you go until that either ends or consoles start becoming more modular. I don't see how
You don't think gamers are going to want to spend $500-$600 every 2 years for a new console?
No, I fucking don't.
So here's my question then, because based obviously on that and the fact that if this doesn't bring developers back to back to Microsoft, I think that what we mentioned earlier about how maybe the reason that they left was, business relations rather than the hardware they're working with. Again, this is going to be a bad road for Microsoft going forward. But until we know that for sure, does Sony respond to this?
No, Sony is winning.
You think they can wait this out and see how it goes before they make a decision?
Oh, absolutely. They lean on the PS4 Pro and the PSVR. I mean, really lean on the VR because that's something that Microsoft doesn't have. It's something that Nintendo doesn't have. And, with Nintendo just putting out the Switch and it having no VR support and ostensibly no VR support for the future, that's probably not going to even be a lane that they're going to be looking at. And Sony, in terms of VR products, has the best potential lineup of games. So if you lean into that heavy, I think that Sony has got a very clear path for their next 3 to 5 years. And then you're starting to look at the PlayStation 5, if that's even something that we're going to be looking at, because at the same time, we've pushed graphics to this photorealistic point where it's like, it's almost becoming like, why fucking bother?
Going even further with it? Yeah.
I mean, you're going to start hitting Uncanny Valley territory really, really quickly.
Massively.
And the thing is like, you can't, if you can't manage the number of variables and the amount of programming and coding and world building that it already takes with the tools that we have, given Unreal 4 and all of these different engines, then if you increase the polygon count, how much are you really increasing? Like, you're increasing somebody's workload too.
Yeah, as a gamer, I'm at the point now where, especially with stuff like Horizon, game is beautiful. We can stop there. Now start spending more money on giving me more gameplay, more story, more.
And that's the thing is the technology is at a point. It's so increased to a point that it's like, can we concentrate on painting a good product with the palette that you're given instead of constantly replacing the colors?
Well, regardless of what we think of Microsoft or the Xbox as a product, what they have with the Scorpio is still a pretty impressive piece of hardware. They are boasting that currently this is the most powerful gaming console ever created, outperforming even the PS4 Pro. So let's see, it says the Scorpio was able to run a Forza Motorsport demo at 60 frames per second in seemingly native 4K with graphical settings at an Xbox One equivalent level. 1 terabyte hard drive space, 12 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory, which is the same that the PS4 has, the GDDR5, but Sony only uses 8. Now that 12 gigabyte is split, 8 gigabytes is accessible to developers, and 4 is reserved for system use. Compared to the Xbox One, it only had 8, which was 5 for devs and 3 for system use. So that's gotta be attractive, right?
Yeah,
that's quite an increase.
But still, though, you look at the specs of this versus any PC, and you go, well.
True.
I mean, if you've got the budget, dump it into a PC, and you know that's going to be better than any of those consoles will be until the next round of consoles.
We know that as the PC master race, but there is obviously still a huge contingent of people out there, the console-only guys who either don't want to put the time and effort into building a PC, or they don't have any use for it outside of just playing games, in which case they just want to stick with the whole plug-and-play model that consoles bring to the table.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually finally got a guy I worked with to build his own PC.
But you know what? Then I think that those are going to be the same people that aren't as concerned about graphics processing power, how many gigs of RAM there are.
That's true. The more you try to focus on better technology, I think the more you're skirting that line with, well, it might as well just be a PC.
That's right. Yeah, and you're trying to appeal to what seems like a PC crowd at that point.
Yep. It seems like they're trying to make a big show with the whole, it's going to run all the Xbox One games, guys. Better without the need for patches, too. Apparently that everything should look better and crispier on the Scorpio without the need for patches. The only exception is anything that's capped at, let's say, 30 frames per second won't get the 60 unless you patch it to do so, since they're locked right there.
All right.
GPU is 4.6 times better than the Xbox One. Combined with a faster CPU, you get higher frame rate, more stability, no screen tearing, and faster loads. And the game DVR also lets you capture 4K, 60 frames per second, HDR gameplay, and will also allow you to scrub through there for the best screenshots.
Okay. I mean, I guess I'm not for all of the screenshots and game capture features that the PS4 has. I don't use it hardly at all.
Yeah, me either. Honestly.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer, which, by the way, I actually Googled around to make sure I got what his position was, his actual professional title.
What's his title?
Head of Xbox.
Okay.
Head of, not like VP or president of Xbox, just head of Xbox.
Okay. Well, what'd he say?
The leader
he
of
says,
Xbox?
He's unsure if Microsoft will show off the system before E3 in June. He also said that it is critical for first-party games to be ready at launch.
Okay.
So it's launching this holiday season. I wonder if they have anything lined up yet. The fact that he's it's critical we have them, but they don't really have any names
and then all they show off is Forza. I mean, I would imagine that they'll probably end up rolling out a big line of games around E3. I mean, I would hope that they've brushed up their E3 presentation.
Maybe they'll take a page out of Sony's book and have a super awesome, cool, theater with a live band presentation. That was so cool.
Their sizzle reel presentation,
that was
you mean?
So good, man.
Yeah. I doubt it.
Yeah.
Microsoft doesn't have quite that attention to detail, it seems. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that this, could be okay. I'm not going to buy one. This does not sell me on
not
it.
for $500
no,
either, man.
Hell no.
Oh. Well,
that's a big price point.
The tech specs are never going to sell anyone on anything. I got to see what's on it. Why do I care what the RAM is or what the CPU in it is?
Well, yeah, because when it comes down to it, I mean, how many exclusives does the PS4 still have over the Xbox.
Right.
Because that's what sells me. It's
Right.
the exclusives that you have. And guess what? I know you're not going to have the FF7 remake. You're probably not even going to have Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Well,
Like, you can't even
I don't
get
think
Kingdom Hearts.
I don't think anyone's getting Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, that's fair.
Let's go to our phone lines and talk to Frank, who wants to talk about Scorpio. What's up, Frank?
Yeah, I got it here. Hello, how you doing? How you doing, guys?
Good. Thanks for calling Final Encountercast. What's up?
You're going to have to pay the trolls toll if you want to get into, these boys' souls.
Boys' holes.
Yeah.
What's
nice,
up?
Reference to Always Sunny. That's always good.
Oh, that wasn't a funny one.
But yeah, on the Scorpio issue, they kind of let those Digital Foundry bros access it and everything. They still couldn't really talk much about it, but I mean, honestly, it kind of reminds me of the PS3 days. You know what I'm saying? Where it was like $600 for the thing, and then everyone was like, "Oh, there's not enough," and then they get the game, and then there's no games for it, and then and the only time you're gonna enjoy it is with Forza or a few other games. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Oh, and you need a 4K television. I don't really think there's a huge market right now for you have to have hardware to match hardware and software. You can't just stick like a Scorpio.
Yeah, no, I think
PS4 Pro.
I think you touch on a few points there. Is first of all, how many games are going to be coming out that actually utilize it to its full potential? And then secondly, needing like a 4K TV to get a lot of it. Although they did mention that they are still going to cater to the 1080p users. So I feel like Microsoft has recently been setting this trend, and it started with E3 last year when they're like, hey, anything that you buy for the Xbox, you also get for Windows 10. So as a gamer who doesn't have an Xbox now, I feel like everything they do is like, this is what we're coming out with, but don't worry, we're still going to cater to everyone else too. So,
I mean, I really do. I do sort of feel like they've definitely split their market with the games on Xbox Live and making sure that most everything that comes out for the Xbox One is also compatible with games for Windows Live. It makes it really feel like, what is the? I have a PC, and the thing is a lot of times PC gamers will also own at least one of the consoles.
Yeah.
Like console gamers will oftentimes go for two, but if you're part of the PC master race, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you probably also have at least one of the consoles, so that you don't get passed by on a lot of these good console exclusive games.
Yep.
And the way it's set up, it's like if you have a PC that you're keeping up to date, there is no good reason to pick Xbox One over PS4 as your one console that you're going to maintain.
That's exactly right. And it's fine if Microsoft wants to try to look at both of those markets as the same, but when you're pushing hardware, I think that that's a really difficult task, because you're splitting your audience right down the middle. Frank, you got any? Okay, there you are. All right. What's up?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just saying that, the thing about PC is that there's nothing wrong with PC, and even nowadays it's a lot more transition, or you could plug in any console controller now and use, like, third-party software and run it on a computer and then get it going, and then be like, and with Steam it just automatically works. I'm just using Steam as an example, but you can just plug it in and bam. You don't need to set any keys. It'll be the same keys as it was on a console.
Yeah.
That's what I like nowadays. I mean, beforehand, everyone's like, I got to set these,
Update your drivers.
In a lot of instances, you don't even need to have a wire running from your controller to your PC anymore. That once you sync it, that it'll wirelessly sync. Like, for example, PS4 controllers, all PS4 controllers run off of Bluetooth. And so as long as you've got Bluetooth capabilities in your PC, you can connect to a PlayStation 4 controller remarkably easily. It's that kind of stuff that really does, kind of take a shot out of the idea of I've got to own, more than one console, or I've got to, it does undercut that whole concept. Frank, thanks for the call. We appreciate hearing from you, and we would appreciate any other calls at Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764.
Can you imagine what it would be like if you couldn't use a controller on PC? Dark Souls would be a console must because playing that game on keyboard and mouse is
impossible. It's it's terrible.
On you babies. There are people who have beat it using a DDR pad.
That's true.
Who have used it beating a Guitar Hero guitar.
I would rather the Guitar Hero guitar.
Step up your game.
It is the worst, quite possibly the worst mapped game in history when it got ported to the PC.
Yeah, it's awful.
It really is. Because I've tried to do a key remap on that, and it's
didn't work out.
Boy, is it a pain in the dick. No, it did. I mean, it did. It took a considerable amount of time and effort. What? Were you going to say something?
I was going to segue us into this next little part here.
Okay, then.
Yeah. All right. So when the Scorpio was first announced, a lot of people, the way that it was talked about, thought that Microsoft might have been working towards like a modular console concept, right? So that way, instead of just buying a whole new console every couple of years, you're upgrading as you go. No, apparently it couldn't be further from that. Phil Spencer, he said the idea that users will open up a console and change computer components inside seems like a stretch to me. He says that there's something special about buying a console and knowing you just have to plug and play. So I think that reinforces the idea that the people that at least he's aiming to go after are those console users that either are that they look at a computer and they're intimidated by it, that, they don't want to have to go through all the crap of trying to build one themselves, and they'd rather just go out, buy something, plug it in. I mean, a lot of parents, I think, even fall into that nowadays, too.
Sure. Well,
that's the easiest thing to do.
At first, it didn't seem like a big deal at all to me, but then I realized, I've been building computers since I was 10.
Yeah.
It doesn't, the idea of opening my computer is just second nature. I guess there's a lot of people out there who have never done anything like that.
Well, if it intimidates you, apparently there is a new game that will help you build your PC that you want. Like it's like a virtual PC builder.
That's cool.
It's called ransomware, and then you have to play an Animu game for a while.
No.
So here's my thing, though. When this first broke, the idea of like a modular console, a lot of people were like, well, why don't you just get a computer at that point, right? And you're right. The closer that you get to being able to basically, insert a new graphics card, take out the old one, put in a new one, blah, 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 you are getting closer and closer to it, and what's the point of that? So in my mind, what I thought, which would have been, I think, more groundbreaking, is if they developed an upgradable console with the idea in mind, not that it would be taken apart and opened up just like a computer is, but developed in a way that it is easy to do that. That you don't have to worry about, unscrewing and opening up and looking at all those components, that you could just plug and play stuff, right?
Slide out the RAM.
I don't know if you guys remember,
but that's almost how it is. Like, I mean, it is that easy. You do just slide out the RAM and pop in new ones.
Well, yes, but when you open it up and look at it, that again, people who've never done it, that's not what they see.
It looks intimidating.
Yeah,
if it's just like,
imagine plugging in like like a cartridge slot in the back. Boom. That's where that goes, and
I understand, and look, and I get it. And after spending $500, $600 or whatever it is on the new component that you're putting in, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking. I understand that, but the thing is and I think Infinity Fox said it very well. You can't sell people a $700 gimped computer every 2 years.
No, you can't.
That business model does not work. And if they thought that no one bought the original Xbox One or that sales were underwhelming for that, I got news for you. The market hasn't changed very much. No. And I think that you're chasing, you're chasing this new hardware ideal that I think Frank put it very well. There's not enough 4K TVs out there to really justify something like this.
Best case scenario, all right, you bring the Scorpio out and you have a great lineup of exclusive games right off the top. Maybe the Scorpio sells well. 2 years down the line, whatever your second one is, though, I think that's when you start to see the decline. People buy the Scorpio, maybe they're happy with it, maybe they're not, but when the second one comes out, they're not ready for a new console yet.
Yeah.
And because all of your games, allegedly, are going to work from console to console to console, there's no reason to buy the new one at that point.
Okay, so all of us in this room are gamers that decided this current generation, we're skipping Microsoft. Does anything in here say, oh, well, this is a reason that I need to own an Xbox One Scorpio?
Not even.
Not one. No. There's not one compelling reason.
Anyone in the chat, if you are pro Microsoft or pro Scorpio, could you call us up and let us know why, please?
Well, let's go back to our phone lines real quick and talk to Volkai. Volkai, what's up, man?
Hey, so apparently I'm the person you just wanted from the chat.
Oh, good.
But
tell us on it then.
Well, first, I want to jump back a couple topics real quick. you were talking about how Microsoft started doing iterative hardware in the same model as cell phones, and you mentioned the pricing. Microsoft, about 4 years ago, actually adopted the monthly payment for a console plan along with Xbox Live. You could buy an Xbox 360 and get Xbox Live Gold for, if I remember correctly, it was $25 a month. So that is something that they've done.
Okay, now is that something that you'd have to do through Microsoft if you went to GameStop or to Walmart and you wanted to pick up your console there?
That was something that they did exclusively through the Microsoft stores, as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would, for it to be done through GameStop, it would have to be GameStop doing that. And as far as I know, GameStop doesn't really offer any sort of payment programs like that.
Yeah, but
that would be a GameStop thing. Microsoft has no say on if GameStop does that or not.
Right. The thing about the cell phone model is that's a very well established model. That's a long-standing model that these cell phone providers have been doing since before cell phone hardware mattered, right? Like they had worked out that deal in the very primordial days of cell phone service, where they were.
Even cell phones have changed the way they do it.
Absolutely.
They've all gone from you get the phone for $100 for a $700 phone to you're paying $30 a month for your phone.
Right. It's more of like a rental charge. So, when you consider that kind of stuff, I think that Microsoft has got a very big uphill battle here. I don't see anyone. I don't see the market force at play here.
Yeah, like what you have to realize is whether or not the Scorpio itself is a good product or not. People already aren't really buying or standing next to your product, and all that you've shown me is that you want to come out with it more often. How is coming out with it more often going to incentivize me to buy something that I'm already not buying?
Yeah, and on the idea of using the cell phone model, like the idea of paying $30 a month for my console is not appealing to me.
No.
Dear Lord.
I mean, you're at the point culturally where subscription fatigue is a big thing. Like everyone's sick of, I get hit for, I think it's like somewhere around like $60 a month between between Netflix and Final Fantasy 14 and all of these different Hulu and Amazon
gym membership.
All of these little things that just keep hitting you every month, and at some point people are going to start paring the stuff down. They're going to go, well, maybe I don't really watch Hulu that much, or maybe I don't need the HBO subscription because I can either wait or I don't care enough.
Or Game of Thrones isn't coming out right now.
That too, yeah. No, that's a really big one. Volkai, thanks for the call. We appreciate hearing from you. We got to move on from the Xbox One Scorpio because I wanted to make sure that we had a second to talk about this. But if you still want to call the show, you can do that. Final Encounter Cast on Skype 810-207-1764. We got to move these calls along in pretty quick fashion because we've only got about 10 minutes left here on the program. But I wanted to talk about Atlus and the
world up.
The statement that they had put out right in front of the release of Persona 5 that had basically laid out exactly what their expectations.
Let's call it what it was. It was a decree.
It was a threat. And they laid out what their expectations around streaming Persona 5 was,
as well as content on YouTube.
That's right, yeah. And basically they said, because anyone who's never played the Persona games, it operates on a date structure. So you start off the game, I think you're in like mid-June or something, and as the days progress, that's how the storyline progresses as well. And basically what they said is that anyone streaming past July 7th in the game could possibly put their account in jeopardy, that Atlus and their parent company Sega would be seeking to use YouTube's copyright claim system to file complaints with YouTube, with the platform, as well as, I think, try to get Twitch to enforce this as well.
Yes. Yep. Hey, That's a lovely Let's Play channel you got there. Such a shame would be if something was to happen to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that a mafia?
That was really bad.
Try speaking American. It's the only language I understand.
And they're doing this all under the auspices that they don't want spoilers put out about their game.
This is so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. First of all, if anyone wants to avoid spoilers, they won't fucking watch streams and videos. And if you're a decent human being, you will have in either your YouTube title, spoilers, or if you're doing a playthrough on Twitch, possible spoilers. And if somebody comes in there and gets spoiled, guess who that's on?
That's on the audience.
That's right. It's on Joe McNobody. You shouldn't be watching the game if you don't want spoilers.
And the thing is like, I mean, to threaten people's YouTube channels, which in some cases are,
livelihoods.
The majority of their income, I think is really dirty. Because and here's the thing, is that first of all, this is clearly a flagrant abuse of YouTube's copyright claim service. And I think YouTube needs to get involved and say, that's unenforceable. We're not willing to do that. You guys can't do something like that.
Look, it's one thing to just be like, you know what? We don't want any spoilers. Nobody can stream or play our game or, put our game out there. Fine. Like they turned off all sharing on the PS4, right? You can't stream on the PS4. You can't share screenshots.
Right.
If you want to do a blanket thing like that, sure, it's your game. That's on you. But to dictate how far people can play your game,
that's right,
before they show it and put like these little nuanced expectations on it, that is ridiculous.
Yeah. And I mean, first of all, you Streisand affect yourself big time. I mean, anyone who didn't care about Persona 5 spoilers now suddenly cares because you're being a dick about it.
Right. This is because I've seen a lot of people who were excited about Persona 5 who straight up don't want to stream it.
Yeah.
And so the people who are people who are doing so in your face.
Right.
Yeah, I could not have cared less about Persona 5, really. I haven't played much in the series, but, well, now I kind of want to know what happens. What's this great secret they have to keep hidden from the world?
I just want to plaster Facebook with just pictures of the spoiler ending, just because.
Even worse than that.
Just to be a dick, right? That's kind of that's how I feel about it.
If you think protecting people from spoilers means taking down YouTube video content of Persona 5 or stop people from streaming Persona 5, if that's how you get rid of spoilers, I got news for you. The majority of the spoilers are going to come from people who make a GIF montage of like anime cleavage, and then suddenly at the end it's like, boom,
there's
Snape kills Dumbledore.
Yeah, exactly.
You gonna take away our memes, Atlus?
See, and I think that, I mean, I've got a real problem with this to the point where on Checkpoint this week, I issued a challenge out to Atlus because I think that this is such a scummy move. And basically the ultimatum that I gave them, we're the first radio show about video games, solely about video games, exclusively about video games. And we don't have a YouTube product. Our show isn't on YouTube anywhere.
Or Twitch.
Or Twitch. Yeah.
Technically.
And we wouldn't be streaming any of it. Mm-hmm. So basically, what I've said is if Atlus wants, if Atlus wants to protect their spoilers, if Sega wants to protect their spoilers, then they need to come on the show. Mm-hmm. Or else I'm just going to straight up reveal the end of Persona 5.
On the air.
Just point by point.
Now,
just go through all of it.
The rules say you can't stream past 7.7. So, Nate, you could start playing the game before 7.7, and as people come into the chat room, tell them what happens after 7.7.
There you go.
No rules have been broken.
I mean, if in 6 U.S. cities you want the end of your RPG, that you're willing to take people's livelihoods away.
Yeah, Drea Poetic pointing out that technically the game's been out for 4 months already.
Yeah.
Like it released
in Japan.
In Japan,
yeah. So, I mean, again, I'm just saying, like, if that's so important to them, maybe they should give us a little bit of time and justify that decision. And also explain how they plan on enforcing it. And then I've got some serious questions for Google and YouTube if they're going to allow a practice like this to happen on their platform. And it totally reinforces why we don't give any emphasis to our YouTube product. Why we don't pay attention, why we don't really try on YouTube.
You should call Atlus customer support like you did with Konami.
I don't know that I actually think that we're getting a little bit farther by saying, like, look, we're gonna bust out the end of your game on the show live in 6 U.S. cities.
Get ready.
Unless you
and for all those people in the chat being like, oh, that's such a dick move, don't do that. Guess what? Here's what it comes down to, okay? If there's anybody listening who doesn't want it to be spoiled, they can turn it off.
Yeah, you'll have plenty of warning.
You can turn the channel.
It's coming.
That's the whole point here. What it comes down to is that the viewer is in charge of spoilers. If you don't want it to be spoiled, you don't watch it.
That's right.
What's so hard about that? What don't people understand about that? Are you so entranced with Twitch streams and with the YouTubes that when it pops up Persona 5, you have to watch it? Take control of yourself.
Yeah. The responsibility is on you. And the fact that Atlus would come out and try to claim the responsibility for people seeing spoilers that they don't want to see is asinine to me. That's insane. Why? Why would you care?
Mm-hmm. Drea Poetic says that there's already a Twitter bot that spoils it for innocent people or innocent players trying to find tweets about it. Okay,
see, this is the
type of person that's a dick.
No,
Take care of that
but the thing is that Atlus is completely responsible for that.
Yeah, Atlus brought this upon themselves.
That's right. No, I don't think that Twitter bot would exist if it wasn't for Atlus's concerted effort in trying to
contain spoilers.
And this is I think really troubling, a really troubling move in terms of the way that game developers treat the way that their product is handled once it gets released to the public. I'm sorry, once you put it out in the public, you're done. Like, the way that you can control the information surrounding your game is over. And you've got to hand that over to your audience and hope that, if you've put together a good narrative, that the majority of your audience aren't going to want to be dicks and aren't going to want to spoil it for other people. But when you come out and you try to mandate this kind of behavior, people are going to reflexively fight back.
Yeah, 2 things happened, I think, when they put out this decree, this threat. The first thing is that you aren't protecting anyone. You aren't stopping any spoilers from happening on any streams, okay? People are perfectly capable of not watching a stream if they don't want it to be spoiled. No effect there. But what it did do is that there are so many people now that are upset with you, disenfranchised with you, whatever, that they are going out of their ways on platforms you can't control to spoil it.
Right.
All you did was hurt your own cause.
That's right. And I think that hurts anyone who has gaming, majority gaming content on their platform. Again, this is why, the focus of our product has never been on a YouTube or, on somebody else's pipeline. We've concentrated on creating our own pipeline. And the fact that, we do our show outside of YouTube, that we do our show on the actual radio, means that we're subject more to the rules of radio than we are to the rules of the way that, that new media sources have to interact with gaming publishers. This idea of a blacklist, right? Like how there's a game developer blacklist and there are just some reviewers that will never receive review copies or they'll never receive an iota of press or an interview from certain companies who whose games they've reviewed negatively, right? Mm-hmm. That's a very real concept. That actually does exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking affect us. Doesn't affect us at all. Because guess what? We've got a bigger reach than any of that. Like, we hit 6 U.S. fucking cities. Our pipeline, our method of transmission is outside of that whole idea of a blacklist. Now they can blacklist us all they want, but it doesn't affect the show. It doesn't affect what we do. We don't do fucking reviews. We've never done reviews. We're not going to start doing reviews on Checkpoint. That's not what we do. We have conversations about video games and the video game industry and the people who make them. And those are the people that we're going to be looking to talk to. If they want to ice us out on an interview, oh no.
Whatever will we do?
Sega won't give us an interview, darn.
Boo.
Atlus won't give us an interview, oh shoot. By the way, they will when you're standing in front of them for something like E3 because they don't know. They just have no idea.
We're gonna get you, Atlus, one way or another.
I mean, this doesn't end well for Atlus at all. Yeah. It can't end well for Atlus.
I'd honestly like to know, like, who came up with this idea and what their reasonings were that they thought, this is what we got to do, guys. Yeah. This is the best choice for our game.
Okay, so what if this is just next level from Atlus, where they don't care if you spoil the game, but because of the Streisand effect, they said this, so now they're getting all this kind of press, like Callie over here, who doesn't care about Persona, suddenly now wants to play it.
Well, they have moved 1.5 million units of it.
Have they like actually tried to DMC take down anyone yet?
According to a second-hand source, I was watching a Jim Sterling video that was talking about this exact thing, and he had said that, in fact, yes, someone that he knows has received a DMCA takedown already.
Well, shit.
For Persona 5. Okay, so let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Ryoku real quick. Ryoku, what's happening?
Hey, how's it going?
Our resident weeaboo.
That's right. So you wanted to talk about P5?
Yeah, that whole like you mentioned before, that whole like trying to avoid spoilers is just bull, because the fact that the Japanese version was out for has been out since September, November.
Wow.
And there's been spoiler videos for the Japanese version, and it was really hard for me to avoid, because I was trying to go into this game blind, and every time I looked on YouTube and it's like stuff on P5, I'm like, nope, get away.
Right, exactly. And that's the other thing, is that when it's been out in a region for 4 months, this seems like a crazy unenforceable task to me.
Yeah, do they go back now, and anyone who's already put a video up before they had this warning, do they ban all of them, put takedowns on all of them?
I don't know.
It's just on American channels?
Dude, it's completely impossible to force, and anytime you do see them enforce it in some way, it's going to be someone they picked out of a hat at random to say, oh, ban it.
Yeah, they're making examples of people, which I think is just as dangerous. Like, that's, if they were blanketly enforcing it across the board, that would be bad, but the fact that they're picking and choosing and cherry picking who they want to make examples of, that's even worse. That is even worse. All right. So, Ryoku, thanks for the call, man. We got to wrap it up here, but there was one email that we got that I wanted to read before we took off. So this came from Alex F., who says, hi, guys and gals, and those in between. Callie.
Thank you.
Writing in.
Oh, I get it.
Writing in because of an unavoidable family thing means that I'm unable to call in about this. The language in Atlus's note is pretty troubling from a consumer rights standpoint, but I've yet to see anybody mention the part that really takes it over the top for me. Going by what's in there, the treat of DMCA takedowns and copyright strikes seems to have no time limit. Somebody talking about the game 10 years down the road could still get flagged under these quote unquote terms. I think that if instead they had said that they would be doing this until, say, 7/7, like a lot of people, including myself, took from this at first glance, we'd be happy with a very different. We'd be having a very different discussion. It would still be super shitty of Atlus, but at least then the tone would be less, we'll sue you for spoilers, and more, hey, give folks that want to experience it themselves a fair chance before you really open up the discussion about it. Sorry if you've already gone over this, but it was an angle I had yet to see come up. Thanks, Alex. We appreciate that. I think we were just kind of starting to glance on that a little bit. But yeah, the fact that
there's just no time limit?
No time limit.
Well, obviously, it's not like they have automated systems going through looking for this stuff.
No, but let's say in 10 years that we criticized Atlus on something else, about a completely unrelated different game, and they just wanted to find an excuse to shut down the channel, they would have one.
They wouldn't even necessarily need this. If they want to shut down someone showcasing their game, they can technically do that anyway.
I mean,
to me,
technically,
it was always the fact, like, whether they had put a deadline on it, like they're saying, oh, for the next month, don't play past this, or we're gonna get you. For me, it was always the threat. Like, if you want to put out, a a PSA to everyone, asking, guys, try not to stream past this when you're discussing the game, discuss it in vague terms, sort of like a best of practices for not spoiling the game for people. That's cool. But once the company started to threaten you on like an individual level,
right,
that's what crossed the line for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that all of this is really, really troubling. And I think that the precedence that it sets is really dangerous because, a lot of people are just going, oh, well, it's Atlus. Who gives a shit about the gay anime game? But if Atlus can succeed in doing this, it means that there's basically no way that Nintendo doesn't follow suit. And then once it becomes an industry standard to start enforcing, well, you can't stream this, you can't have a video about that, then we're really cherry picking and we're really hamstrung as creative types and creators to in terms of what we can present to our audience.
Well, luckily, I don't think that's going to be a problem because pretty across the board, I think that everyone has had pretty negative reactions to this, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that any other company is going to look at this and be like, good idea.
That was a good PR move.
Well, hang on, but that... If it's successful, they will.
What does that mean, though? If it's successful in what? Successful in not spoiling people?
No, successful that it's able to get channels shut down that it doesn't want up. That it's able to enforce this on any level, whether it's through YouTube or whether it's through.
So how do you measure
filing copyright claims through, through a lawyer?
How do you then measure the success of what it is they're trying to do?
They need to be stopped. They need to absolutely some kind of. If they file a lawsuit, a judge needs to throw it out, or YouTube, as the arbiter in this case, needs to go, no, you can't fucking do that. If YouTube allows them to do that on their platform, it doesn't matter how much bad press they're going to get. I guarantee you Nintendo is going to be right there on the heels throwing out spurious copyright claims left and right.
How does that benefit them as a company, though?
In a vacuum, you look at it and you say, like, hey, we can silence our critics. That's sweet.
That's what it is. Is that you're able to take an active role in crafting the narrative surrounding your product. Someone didn't like a sentiment that we had on this show if we were going like, yeah, Mario Party's fucking stupid. And Nintendo heard that and they want to sell as many copies of Mario Party that they want, and they can issue a spurious takedown based on an opinion or a technicality on another one of our videos. You don't think that that's a very, very sketchy and really terrifying prospect for anyone making gaming content?
Sure, yeah, that's pretty draconian too.
It doesn't, and that's the thing, is that it will inspire some kind of negative sentiment, but will it be big enough to impact Nintendo's bottom line? Will it be big enough to impact Atlus's bottom line? I don't think so. They just moved 1.5 million copies. If you said, if you took the negative sentiment and balanced it against the dividends that they're able to make with how many units they're able to move.
So this isn't even about spoilers. They're just trying to leverage themselves into a spot where if they want to, they can silence critics.
They could. Yeah, that's what I see. And that's why I feel like I need to be so vocal in my pushback against it. Is that, yeah, this is less about protecting people from spoilers. It's more done under the auspices of protecting people from spoilers. But if it's successful, if it sticks, if they're able to enforce it on a platform that they don't directly own or control, then that does set a pretty terrible precedent for anyone creating gaming content who uses an image, a sound bite,
Click.
Anything from a copyrighted source. This and it also really undermines the idea of fair use. I mean,
YouTube's probably going to die in the next few years anyway.
You're chipping away at the ability for people to legally, in a legally defensible way, claim fair use, and more than that, it's not even it's more like they want to make you pay in court costs to be able to make that argument, and a lot of people don't have that money.
Nope.
So, anyway, I think that's pretty much the end of Final Encountercast today.
Game over.
We're done.
Forever, because we spoiled P5.
Yeah, the shutdown's coming.
I like how we had a whole ton of momentum there, and then it just
you're just like, and
that's it. Actually, we're done,
and that's good.
Yep. Do we know the ending to P5? Because I kind of want to spoil it right now.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you have to tune in for Checkpoint if you want that.
Haven't looked that far ahead. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I really do feel strongly about this, and Atlus, I think, really needs to come out and either actively reverse their decree, or they need to explain it.
Where did this terms come out? Like, if you buy the game, these terms pop up, or is it just something just on a website somewhere that hopefully you've seen if you're a streamer?
Well, obviously they put it out there, and then every video game news media.
Well, I'm a streamer and I don't trust the gaming media, so I don't read any gaming news at all, and I'm going to stream P5.
Well, enjoy your shutdown.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that when you get shut down, you're going to be really surprised, I think. It's ridiculous, though. It is unenforceable, and it just, oh my God, it irks the shit out of me. It really bothers me. Anyway, all right, guys, that's going to be it for Final Encountercast today. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Stay tuned. Limit Break Radio is coming up next, starting at 4 p.m. on twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. So stick around, and if you want to join us comparing 2.0 to 3.0, that is going to be the majority of our discussion topic today. And then stick around after Limit Break Radio, because we're going to be airing the latest episode of Checkpoint Radio. If you want to hear the challenge go out to Atlus, then stick around after Limit Break Radio for Checkpoint Radio. Guys, I really want to thank all 164 of you hanging out. I want to thank everyone who's called in today. It was great hearing from all of you guys. We encourage you guys to call in if you join us live here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio, starting at 1 p.m. every Sunday. Now, that time may move somewhere down the line, but we'll let you know when it does. Remember, next week we're going to be off, and we're going to be airing a whole bunch of Checkpoint Radio episodes, so still tune in here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio, starting at 1 p.m., and check out a huge marathon of Checkpoint Radio. I want to thank everyone who helps put this show together, Kooky Persona, who is our executive producer, as well as my crew, Callie, Chris, and Robbie. Nika, even though she's not here. But my name's Nate. Have a good one. Final Encountercast is a production of FinalEncountercast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Robbie Landis. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. For links to articles mentioned on this show, check out our live blog at FinalEncountercast.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.